There's the different ways, the processes of knowing anything, something, whatever. So what is the process to know about what we want to know? Yes, the lights off. So we'll just present one PowerPoint presentation, give you a brief idea about this process presented in the Vedic scriptures. So we just hope that you'll be able to benefit from this presentation and in the future understand how to understand more and recognize more what is the way to ascertain what is useful for us, what is not useful, what is beneficial, what is not beneficial. Okay, so let's focus now, let's start. We already take so much time. So this is the letter which we see broken steps representing 4 defects. So that is something that everybody is conditioned by. So this presentation is going to be talking about that conditioning and the way to accessing truth beyond it. So the art of learning, the process of acquiring knowledge. Why do we have that light? That's not even can switch it up. So the focus can be more on the board here, presentation. So we have several topics now. 6 blind men, 1 wise man's story, 3 ways of gaining knowledge, 4 defects that lead to imperfect knowledge, Vedas giving perfect knowledge, and seeing the world through the Vedas. Okay. So the first topic is the story of 6 blind men and 1 wise man story. It's a story that illustrates a lot. Hypothetically, there had been 6 blind men and they tried to understand what the elephant is. So then they were brought in front of the elephant, some very timid, peaceful elephant, and they started touching from different sides, different parts of the elephant. And then they came to different conclusions. So, first one who touched the trunk, he thought, oh, it's just like a snake. Elephant is just like some kind of snake. Because this trunk feels like that. Then the other one touched the tail, he thought it's just like some kind of rope. What's his idea? Another one touched the ears, just like some kind of fan or ox. And another one touched the belly of the elephant and says that's like some kind of wall of skin. And then another one touched the tusks, he thought, oh, it's just like sharp like an arrow. This is what the elephant is. And another one touched the legs, he thought it's just like a tree trunks. So they all had different ideas, different conceptions about what the elephant is. But then another person passed by, and then witnessing this, he explained that actually, no, elephant is not like this, elephant is not like that. Elephant is something completely different. So many times we have perception about something from one particular point of view, but you don't have an overall understanding what anything might be. Just like now, some of you are coming and some of you have come for the first time or whatever, so we have some conception about what a spiritual life is. Is that necessarily an absolute conception? No, definitely it's not. What is spiritual life? What is spiritual practice? And we are in many ways, we may say blind, meaning ignorant, about many facts of life. And this is what the Vedas' goal is, to enlighten us and give us perfect, complete, absolute understanding. So it's not just about, okay, what is spiritual life? It's about also what is our present life, what is our position, what should be our goal, how we should act. So this is all what is very essential. And unless somebody who has that understanding presents that understanding to us, we will still remain blind and chase after so many mirages in this world that are presented to us. And we will not come to understand or know what is that absolute reality. So there are three ways of gaining knowledge. It's our second subject. So one is called Pratyaksha Pramana. That means evidence, Anuman Pramana, Anumana evidence. And another one is Shabda Pramana. So this is what we're going to be discussing today. That's the major subject of discussion. Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. That's in Sanskrit. What it means, we will explain. Okay. So Pratyaksha means the direct perception. As like now we see the railway tracks. I just came yesterday. My train was from Prayagraj. My train was 9 hours late. It's quite an experience. Anyway. So when we look at the railway tracks, what do our eyes tell us? What do our eyes tell us? What happens at the end? Are the tracks joining? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's what our eyes tell us. Is that a fact?
No.
No, that is not a fact. Let's say we pin any point there or whatever, and you walk till there, you'll see the tracks are not joining. But our eyes are telling the tracks are joining. It appears like this. No? We all know about the simple example of the stick in the glass of water. No? Is it broken? It's not broken. Okay. What about when it's very hot? Roads appear. It looks like water, right? It looks like cars are running on some top of the lake or something. That's not the case. It's so hot, it just appears like this. That's our perception. Then you have all these kind of different types of funny mirrors. But that's not the reality. That's not reality. So we cannot acquire complete knowledge using our material senses. That's Pratyaksha Pramana. That's what mostly science is based on. You know, I perceive and then I come to the conclusion. It's not all just about perception, because our senses are not perfect senses. They're defective. So what are the 4 defects that also we're going to discuss that every human being has? Information and theories in science are changed, updated, modified into humans possessing 4 defects. You know, just like atomic theory, so many different ideas about it. What is atom? So imperfect senses, to see what is our range of perceiving anything. Then second is to be illusioned. We already showed some examples. Third one, tendency to commit mistakes. To err is human, no? Very common. Same. And then the fourth one is cheating propensity. Everybody has a cheating propensity. So that's unavoidable. So therefore, whatever we perceive, the conclusion is not going to be an absolute conclusion. Okay. So we talk about imperfect senses. Just 1 second. A little intermission. It's quite cold out there in Prayagraj. Okay, so imperfect senses. So this is how our eyes are blind outside the range of 400 to 700 millimicrons. What is our ability to see? You know, people that say, oh, show me God. But what's your power to see? What is your ability to see? Anybody here having 20/20 vision? Even that's pretty rare. What to speak of, you know. Just see what is the range of perception that we have. Hearing. Our ears are deaf outside the range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. No? Hearing. What's our ability to hear? You know, the bats and dolphins, you know, what to speak see infrasounds, elephants, moles. Many animals have better hearing facilities than we do. So we are quite limited with our hearing. So since scientists' senses have limitations, they try to use instruments to get more knowledge of the world. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Eugene Wigner points out, he says that even if we photograph stars, eventually we have to take in by our senses what the photo shows. Furthermore, without our senses we can't have a camera. And even if we amplify or refine by instruments the knowledge, is no more perfect than our imperfect senses. You have to interpret again by your senses. So then what is the quality of that information that we receive? So if we taste orange after sugar, how will it taste? Okay. If you taste orange after lemon, it'll be sweet. Just like we were taking bath in Kumbh Mela. And it was freezing cold in the morning. The fog was like, visibility was like 3 meters maybe. It was very cold, like maybe 6 degrees or something in the morning. Really cold. And you have to go out and then run and take bath and then run back to the room, which is no different than temperature outside anyway. That's not much difference. Because it's all just a shed kind of thing. So it was quite cold. So that water appeared, so that groundwater, the Ganga water appeared quite pleasant actually in comparison to temperature outside. If let's say you would be in this situation, and then you take that water, you would think that water is freezing. Freezing cold. So yeah, that's the example for the skin. Water touched with warm hand appears cold. Water touched with cold hands appears warm. Okay. So different sensations. So okay, so there are different images here that we're going to present. They're part of what is known as optical illusions. So we can have different perception here. You can identify different characters within this picture. And that you can do for yourself, you can say. It's quite interesting. It's very interesting to see such kind of paintings, drawings. I won't ask you what you see, but just a little bit speed up. Okay, that's another one. Is this moving or is stationary?
Moving.
Yeah, it depends. that's why it's optical illusion. This one also. Huh? Are these fellows the same size or different? Okay, go back and forward. What happens with the circle? You focus on the dot in the center. Again, it appears that there's something's going on with the circle again. Okay. This is a good one. Sometimes you have to be careful when you walk. That reminds us of the story of Duryodhana. No? When Duryodhana came to Indraprastha, first he was like, he came across certain areas where it appears like there is water. Just like we showed that mirage that's on the road. It appears there was water, but there was no water. So they were cautioning him, everybody, no, there is no water, you can walk. You can walk through, But then he came to the real little pool, and then he thought this is also like this. And then he stepped in, and he just got completely wet, he almost fell inside. It's a drop, and everybody was laughing. And Duryodhana just couldn't stand it, his ego was like too much, he just left at that point, and he was filled with metals. So it's like this, optical illusions. What is reality, what is not reality? Okay, that's another interesting one. Many things in one painting. So we can essentially come to understanding that what is the power of our perception? It can be so varied. It can be It's so different. This we won't discuss. This we discussed in another presentation, also very interesting one. Okay, so then the third defect is to commit mistakes. So we've heard about so many different ideas presented in the science throughout the centuries. Anybody won't go through this now, you can just read. Hubble constant is not constant. So many different things in different fields of science. The small mistakes can lead to large disasters. Then cheating propensity, there will be so many hoaxes. Anyway, there's another big discussion. So it might be like this, maybe like that, hypothesizing. That's another part of process of epistemology. Trying to understand something by hypothesis. Maybe, perhaps. Just like Darwin hypothesized. He said, I'm a firm believer that without speculation there is no good and original observation. So then you don't have a fact, you have to speculate. Maybe, perhaps. That's not science. After 5 years of work, I've allowed myself to speculate on the subject and drew up some short notes. This I enlarged in 1844 into sketch of conclusions which seemed to me probable. It seemed to you, but didn't seem to so many others. So what is the reality? So he said, in North America, the black bear was seen swimming. Right? Okay. So for hours with wide open mouth, thus catching like a whale insects in water. Even in so extreme a case as this, if its supply of insects were constant, there's so many ifs and maybes. And if better adapted competitors did not already exist in the country, if, again, another if, maybe, okay. I can see no difficulty in a race of bears by natural selection, more and more aquatic in their structure and habits, with larger and larger mouths, jive, till a creature was produced as monsters as a whale. So that's how, this is the origin of whales, now you learn. And this is how whales, originated. So next time you go swimming, watch out what will come out. If you swim too long, maybe what will happen? So that's a speculation, that's not a fact. Anyway, there's so many speculations like this. Man came from monkeys. Very nice. So Prabhupada said, maybe your ancestors came from monkeys, but our in India here they didn't. Maybe. Okay. So science is based on observation, theory, and then an experiment to prove it. That has to be proven. Okay. So human devolution. What does that mean? It's not evolution, it's devolution. Okay. Oh. Monkeys are surprised. What is this Darwin talking about? Really interesting subject. Maxwell, he said, no theory of evolution can be formed to account for similarity of molecules, for evolution necessarily implies continuous change. The exact quality of each molecule told others of the same kinds give it. The essential character of a manufactured article that precludes the idea of its being external and self-existent. Eternal and self-existent. So you can't talk about evolution if it's not a constant change. That means nowadays monkeys should be turning and the bears should be turning and everybody should be turning into something else. Where is it? Where is it? We're not detecting any of that. So yeah, life comes from chemicals. That's another one. Producing life by chemicals. You collect any chemical, nowadays they're all available. Can anyone produce a life? Any scientist? They will say, in the future, just like cloning. It's not creation, it's manipulation. You're already taking a living cell and manipulating it. They're not creating it. You're already taking a life. just manipulate. So yeah, in the future, that's like post-dated check. Anybody who is working here? How many of you are working? Okay. Now let's say even if your father is working, and then somebody said to your father, you work and we will pay you, in the year 3008. Will anyone accept that? Post-dated check? Nobody's going to accept it. So in the future, what does that mean in the future? So there was a story of Dr. Frog. We have 3 wells here in Hare Krishna land. One is closed, 2 more are remaining. So there was one Dr. Frog. He was very learned. He read a lot of Shastras. And he had a very adventurous friend. And this friend said, okay, I'm getting out of the well, I want to explore the world. And then Dr. Frog said, oh really, very nice. So I'm going to explore the world. And then Dr. Frog gave him all the blessings, said, yes, my dear child, go just see, and please return soon. So he asked his wife, make some chapatis and some super sadhu for him. So let him go. And then this adventurous friend of Dr. Frog, he was jumping, he came here to Juhu beach. And then, of course, that's a big ocean. He had enough experience, it took him some time. And then he was jumping back. He came back here to the well where Dr. Frog was living. So now, when he came back, Dr. Frog asked him, oh, what did you see? What did you experience? So then this adventurous friend, he said, I saw the big ocean. And then Dr. Frog said, oh, what is it? And I said, is it big like my well? No. He said, no, it's not. It's not like your. And then Dr. Frog said, is it 3 times bigger? Is it 10 times bigger? He was trying to conceive how big the well it is. But how can anybody from the well understand what is the ocean? No? How can you put a number of how many sizes of the well can fit within the ocean? So he couldn't understand. So that's the story of Dr. Frog. So we are in a very limited position, and we try to perceive something about our planet, something about the universe. That's what's called imperfect senses. So then try to understand things by logic also. Just like now, if you would have been hearing some sound of a peacock, what could be a conclusion? What could be a conclusion? Huh? Yes. Huh? Rain. No, I said sound of the peacock. Wait a second. Huh? Anyway, go.
He might be nearby.
Where's your hand? Peacock might be nearby. Okay, any other ideas? Huh? Anybody there behind? If you hear sound of the peacock, what will you conclude? What can you conclude? So one idea, there is peacock nearby. Maybe somebody put it in the garden. Somehow peacock came. I don't know. Yes?
Phone's ringtone?
What?
Phone's ringtone.
I can't hear.
Phone's ringtone.
Phone's ringtone, maybe somebody has a ringtone, peacock ringtone, maybe. So my point, how will you know? How will you know what's the reality? You don't have access to the source of the sound. How will you know what is the reality? You can just hypothesize. You cannot say for certain, because nobody has come from outside and confirmed what you thought. You will not know. If nobody doesn't do that, if somebody doesn't do that, how will you come to understand? It's going to be very difficult. Or some boy may be playing, yeah? Somebody can imitate also. Sound of it. So what is the problem with making mistakes in research? Many problems. Water storing in plastic bottles turns poisonous I remember that there was some article many years back. One girl died because she was overly using one plastic bottle, drinking from it. As a poison. So, mobile use, horrible, so many wonderful things. Damage to the brain, damage to the heart, damage to the so many parts of the body. Have to be very careful. Impersonal, yes, whatever. Like in the West, bubonic plague. They said the cats were the cause of the plague, so they kill all the cats in Europe. That's a heavy disaster. It was a catastrophe. And then they realized the rats are the cause. There are no cats. So you have to be careful. You have to have a real good source of knowledge to know what is going on. Yeah? I think they say 2/3 of the population were wiped out. So many people died. So half knowledge is a dangerous thing. There are so many species of life, right? So many. So what we are doing in the world, look at this. A major biodiversity crisis, alarming rate of animal extinctions, and mostly due to human-caused habitat destruction and climate change. Almost 1,000 species are extinct. There's not 1,000 animals, there's 1,000 species. 1,000 species, that's inconceivable. And almost 17,000 are listed and threatened to be extinct. This is what we are doing to this planet. Okay.
Yes.
So, of course, there's so many, there can be many examples that we try to resolve one problem, but we create so many others. And then try to think of some. Because again, we don't have a perfect solution. Especially in the medical field, how many drugs have side effects? That's the simplest example. Or to speak of anything else. You think of some solution for some problem, but then you create so many other problems on top of it. And that is because we don't have a perfect knowledge. So half knowledge is dangerous. So man thought he can be happy without God only if he has money and comfort. So we can never obtain complete knowledge by pratyaksha or anumana. Pratyaksha, just to remind, it means direct perception by senses, no? Anumana by some theory and hypothesis. You can't get a perfect knowledge. So it's dangerous to operate machine with half knowledge. Similarly, it's dangerous to manipulate universal cosmic machine without knowing about it. From the Creator who created. Okay, let's see if we can. So where is the manual that can explain operation of this cosmic machine? If we can get it, then we can have the key to happiness. So that's the point. You have to know what we do. What's this world? What is our position? How to operate? Where is that knowledge? Where is that knowledge? See, political systems, any system, social system, anything, you're experimenting like anything. Who is satisfied? Which country is satisfied? Which society is satisfied? Which family is satisfied? Name it. It doesn't work. Why? Because we don't follow the manual. Okay, so 4 defects that keep us in illusion. So when it's we have imperfect senses, that leads to illusion, due to which we commit mistakes, and to hide our mistakes, one tends to cheat others. Every human being has those defects. These are 4 defects, remember this. Imperfect senses, we already showed how senses are imperfect. Seeing, hearing, no? Imperfect. Touching, whatever, tasting, imperfect. And that's why we are in illusion. We think that something is, but it's not. And because of that, we commit mistakes. And to cover and hide those mistakes, and we have a tendency to cheat others. So that's our position. So therefore, Vedas have a solution for that. And that process is called Shabda, Shabda Pramana. And this knowledge comes in the line of the cyclic succession. Bhagavad Gita, it is explained. Evam parampara praptam imam raja sharudu sakaladeha mahanda yunashta parantam. So how can a child know who is its father? How will the child find it out? How? It's going to take some sample genes or something, DNA, whatever. Well, you can do that. You can check, but that will take a long time. So that's called inductive knowledge. You're trying to figure something out by your own research. A lot of effort, a lot of time, and you may not get satisfying answers. So it's just so much easier to ask your mother, or ask its mother, or who your father is. Of course, nowadays there can be some. But that's called deductive knowledge. In the case that is verifiable, then it's called deductive knowledge, Shabda Pramana. So Vedas are like mother, God is like Supreme Father. Vedas can give us knowledge of God, and not just general knowledge. So what are the Vedas? They're applicable to everyone, all times, in all circumstances. Universal, unchangeable. It's not like textbooks nowadays. You have to revise, you have to create so many different types of curriculums, and every time it's something else. You have to update your knowledge, otherwise, especially in the software industry or whatever, it's always something new, something different. If you're outdated, you're out of job. It's quite difficult to keep up. So Vedas are not like this. It's a perfect knowledge. Therefore it is like a perfect manual. You use the manual, you benefit. You know exactly how to operate and how to get the best use of whatever you're dealing with. So the Vedic process of the learning is just like professors. That's the guru, authorized university is just like parampara, sampradaya, and authorized books like the Vedic Texts. So the Vedic knowledge was revealed by the Supreme Person within the heart of the first created being, that was Lord Brahma. And then from Lord Brahma, there were so many different texts, and it's just huge body of knowledge, which we don't have time to discuss now. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, so many Shrutis and Smritis and Puranas. Okay, so in essence, what is that knowledge about? It's about so many different aspects of life. I can just read. It's about science, it's about social life, it's about arts, it's about everything. Everything is there. Because Veda means the knowledge. Veda means the knowledge. and of course validity. As we said, many things we can't perceive by direct perception, but it can be verified. That's like cow dung, it's said to be pure. Because it contains, if you analyze, contains all the antiseptic properties. But if you touch stool of any other living being, you have to take a bath. It's contaminated. It's contaminated. That plants have life, that has also been demonstrated by Jagadish Chandra Bose, who made the experiments, that the plants react to when you want to cut them or so. They feel. You measure the impulses. So nowadays by science, of course, certain science, you can verify certain things that have been presented in the Shastra. That the earth is round, that has been already known in Shastra, embryology, descriptions in the Purans, and so forth. Future predictions. So some have already come to pass. So if we can't accept axioms, if we can't accept axioms in science, then why we can't accept Vedic axioms? Axiom means that you get your result, it works. But to sometimes prove those axioms, you need some more axioms. But as long as you get your desired result, it means it's something that is very useful. So, imaginary unit, uncertainty principle, laws of thermodynamics. There's no science without axioms. So many times, sometimes we come across Vedic statements that we may not directly be able to verify. But that's what the axioms are. Because what is our position to verify? So Kurt Gödel's theorem of incompleteness is a very interesting theorem. He based it on the idea of presenting a statement like, if I'm lying, it's self-contradictory. Since it's true, I'm not a liar. And it's false. And it's false, I'm a liar. If it is like such, then I'm the liar, so it is true. So what do you conclude out of? In essence, this theorem says that you can't prove anything by logic. Logic is incomplete. Logic is incomplete. So if any sufficiently complicated system, there are true statements that cannot be proven. So science has incomplete set of axioms which will have question about nature of God that cannot be answered yes or no. So I'll give you one example. You can read this. I won't read, we'll just save a little bit of time. But let's say if we circle any instrument, let's say this projector. If we circle this projector, can that projector explain its origin by itself? No. You have to look beyond it. Who manufactured it? How it came to function as such? You can't explain it. You have to go beyond itself. So in the same way, what about this universe? What about ourselves? It just doesn't explain itself by itself. You have to go beyond that circle. So that's also the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning that we were discussing earlier. Asking an authority, that's a deductive reasoning. That's a deductive conclusion. You just get direct information. That's called Shabda Praman. But if you try to speculate, try to understand things by your own efforts, well, that's inductive. That's going to take a time. And you might not get a certain and authorized answer. So therefore, religion and science are not contrary, or faith and reason. Einstein said science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. Both go hand in hand. So what is the personal realization that one can experience by following the process prescribed in the Vedas? So one can have the realization of what are divine qualities and then freedom from lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. That's direct perception. Because one may say, okay, if I practice spiritual process, what do I get? How do I know I'm advancing? How do I know that I'm receiving greater perception and understanding of everything that I'm surrounded by. Well, that's it. That's just first preliminary proof that one can have. Okay, so what did we discuss today? 3 ways of knowledge: pratyaksha, direct experience; anumana, hypothesis; shabda, Vedic wisdom; 4 defects that lead to imperfect knowledge: imperfect senses, illusion, mistakes, cheating. No? Scientific research due to 4 defects has resulted in mistakes leading to disasters. We keep discovering better and better imperfect relative truths. And Vedic wisdom, Shabda, gives perfect and complete knowledge of absolute truth, which is free from 4 defects. Okay, any questions? Can we have lights on? Anybody have any questions? Okay, maybe later if you think about it, will be still available. What's the next part of the program?
Drama.
Okay, yes. Okay, we'll have drama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.